Your opportunity begins at the end of your excuses. So no matter what you do and what business you try, if you excuse every possible, there's nothing good that can happen, I'm listening to all the myths, no one makes any money, I can't do this, then you're going to fail to ever start. And that's the biggest failure in any business.
Hey people, welcome back to the podcast. Have you ever thought about starting an Amazon business? Have you ever thought about starting an e-commerce business in general? Well, today I have Neil Twa on the podcast, who is the founder of Voltage DM together with Reed. And today we're trying to chat much about e-commerce and how we can win in this new normal. Because since 2020, life has changed, right? We have noticed that e-commerce is like the new version. So join in the conversation today because Neil has an experience of almost 17 years old. I was about to say 17 years old, but he has an experience of almost 17 years he has raised more than 5 in-house brands through Amazon FBA, and furthermore, he has generated tens of millions in revenues as 8-figures sellers, and has assisted the growth of 1,000 plus other individuals through coaching, mentoring, and consulting alongside his partner Reed. So join the conversation and don't forget to subscribe to the SelfSeed podcast. Just click that button. Yeah, that subscribe button. I don't know where you're listening from. Probably even you're on Riverly, probably on Spotify, probably on YouTube. But be sure to help me and subscribe there if you like the conversations, yeah? And let's share with other people. Let them learn something new. Let's get to it. Hope you're doing good.
I'm doing wonderful. Too blessed to be stressed.
Powerful. I like that statement. I like that statement.
You can borrow that. That one's yours. My gift.
Too blessed to be stressed.
Too blessed to be stressed.
Great. So, I'm curious. You have all these businesses. How do you manage them?
Yeah, well, I don't manage it all. The factor is I've got some very super smart people around me that help me do all this. And without them, I'm nothing, honestly. I mean, I got things started and I got the gears in motion and I took a lot of the risk, but those people took risk on me and built a relationship that discovered there's more than just liking me or liking the business or liking the opportunity, and then got involved. And, we've kind of moved forward in that process of getting to know each other and trusting each other and building it up. One of those people in particular is my business partner, Reed Larson, who I've been with for the last 12 years. And even then we've had highs and lows and even a separation for a little while and then came back together even stronger because that's how partnerships can work and some don't work. But yeah, just a really good group of people that I trust implicitly.
Interesting. I always think I haven't got the really good group of people yet. I have good people around me and I have friends supportive, but yet to meet, that like how you got a partner that you're raising, you have raised this Voltage DM to where it is. Yeah. It's interesting. So, and as well, I noticed that you said you started business without any formal training.
Correct.
How did you do that?
There was no formal training. There was the opposite of everything people have today. There was no YouTube. There was no university. There was no mentors who knew how to do e-com at that level. There was traditional.
Don't tell me that was like the Stone Age.
Yes, I'm technically older than the sun. No, actually, that was just pre-internet world. And then, the internet coming online for the better part of 5-7 years after it started to show up past 1995, and came in that 5 years after the 99 bubble. And then at least 2 years after the 99 bubble, as people and businesses all found their way through that and started to kind of dial in and optimize how they were going to use the internet in business. That, slung things forward extremely fast in the years 2000 and 2005. And it was pretty much a situation where that's when all the university and academia and trainings and guides and even some gurus and stuff started to come online and teach courses and marketing and other stuff to really train anybody how to do any of it, because everybody else was trying to figure out how to do it in a non-traditional retail way, a non-traditional sales way of products and business and assets and information. Because they used to do seminars, right? They used to do them at hotels, and then they would sell timeshares, or they would sell business deals, or they would sell these event things, and they would do it all at a local by local, hotel by hotel way. Yeah. And the internet changed all that, right? The internet gave you the ability to sit in front of 300 people virtually on a summit, on an interaction on a website, or on back in the day on Skype, which just got killed. And then you didn't have to go to hotel by hotel and travel by travel. You weren't a traveling salesman who went and did all these seminars and sold all this stuff directly to people. You can do that all virtually. It was a massive change. So you just have to you had to figure out your way through it. There was no way other than to just do it and to fail up through the process.
Yeah.
Until someone else gave you a tip, until some other thing happened, until the internet became greater. And so, no, there wasn't. I jumped out of college because I couldn't learn to do anything on the internet in college. There was no academia. It was just any other time I was not in class, I was playing on the internet. Right? There was no training and formal training. Even the corporations were just adopting it and growing it. So they didn't even really know how to do it.
Yeah.
And everybody was just learning as fast as they could.
So it was all a method of trial and error, and it's
100%.
just experimentation. But
a lot until systems started to come online. Yeah.
Today people, when they want to do something, they have to first read a lot about it until to the point that it becomes that you begin to get that fear, that anxiety. You can no longer do this because people
it's overwhelming. Yes. There's so much information now. It can feel extremely overwhelming.
Yeah. So, with all this difficulty and all that, but you're still here and you have sold you have raised multiple brands, you have acquired multiple brands.
Correct.
And still you're like, you started when Amazon was still using, those letters which it was not properly arranged. And to date, it has almost 1 billion users, 1 billion products, 1 billion people across the world, they're using it. But how do you, since you're specialized in that, acquiring brands on Amazon, and raising your own in-house brands, how do you, know the right word here? How do you know what the hell to, sell on Amazon?
What the hell to sell? Yeah, well, that's been a lesson in learning too. With 12 years on this channel, I want my listeners here today to understand Amazon FBA is just a sales channel. When someone says they have an Amazon FBA business, to me, it shows one level of business acumen because technically they have a sales channel. They don't technically have in my world, a full business yet. They have a sales channel.
Yeah.
Has it a going concern? Does it generate 6, 7, 8 figures? Absolutely. But you need a tripod. You need a trifecta. You need 2 or 3 other sales channels in which your brand and product are moving and building a holistic e-commerce business. So I want people to understand that there is the fundamentals of understanding a business and the business of doing business in a product or service based capacity, reading a P&L and managing finances and understanding accounting and what the heck is between a cash and accrual and which one I should use or not use and when I should do it. And then what do I actually sell and which platform do I sell it on, or do I sell it on my own website, or do I sell it locally or whatever? These are just all questions a lot of people have. Some people think that Amazon is not an opportunity, but it is.
Yeah.
Some people are like, well, Shopify is the better opportunity, or and they'll all argue between channels, and it's the old iPhone, Android, which is better argument. At the end of the day, pick a horse to ride because you can't ride 2 horses with one ass. So in my world, we incubate products on Amazon first to find out if we can reach 49% of the market whose entire intent for being on that application is to buy. They aren't browsing. They're barely browsing. They're not doing social media. They're not being interrupted on another channel. They're not looking at a website or doing social media on Facebook or wherever. They're there to buy. That's why they went there. So their intent and the psychology of that buyer is all about buying. So that's where I start, right? Because I want to incubate and find out what the heck to sell. I have to remember that there is a conditional aspect of learning that process to determine what is it that I'm going to sell. And in that process, over time, and now launching more than 1,000 brands with clients and having over 35 we control ourselves, I can tell you that it's all the numbers and data game. It actually isn't as much about the product I sell as the data I sell to AI engines. And that has changed a lot in the last 5 years. Why? Because the AI systems, large language models, the tip of the iceberg of these systems now, surfacing, even though they've been there for a long time, in the way that the machines are, showing data and building up customer intent and, getting smarter and smarter at profiling us as humans. This marketing engine below there is now surfacing above it. And what people are not understanding is if you take advantage of the engine and what it wants to see from your product data wise, it will help you deliver the product to the customer. And its intent is to find that customer, find it as fast as possible, the right one, and intersect their intent to buy and their need with the product that they feel will be the best solution for that person's intent to purchase. And that is changing the fundamental aspect of how all these online systems work. And most people aren't even paying attention to it. Not even sellers that I know are paying attention to it. Not as much as they should be.
Yeah. You know, in the past, when you have to go to a shopping mall, you then begin one shop after the other. But nowadays, you know, that aspect where you just open up the app and you question yourself, how did it know that I want this thing? And there it pops on the screen, and you being able to now your product is the one that pops up on the customer's screen. I read from one book, and it's saying in a world today where there are multiple screens and where you're able to a customer is able to only have your product or your thing on their screen. That's a win. And
customer intent is amazing, right? And Amazon is an engine of finding and dialing in its psychology of customer. It's learned from with all the data it's been gathering for 15 years. It's getting very smart at how to present that data. It is actually becoming a data advertising engine that by 2027, Amazon's profits for its data and advertising will surpass its AWS systems. And the AWS system, as most of you know, probably runs the back end of Netflix and all the major streaming services. So it's been a very profitable business for them.
Yeah.
But their advertising engine is about to overtake that profitability, meaning they are becoming an advertising engine. So with Prime and Freevee and Twitch and Amazon.com and all of their other marketplaces of network, they're now pushing out sponsored brands and sponsored brand ads and other intent-based advertising into those channels. And they're using large language and AI models to show you just in time what they intend to believe that you're going to buy, to put that right in front of you even before you realized you needed it. And then when you see it, you're like, I need that. And bam, you buy it. And it's happening. Think Minority Report. Have you ever seen a movie, Minority Report?
No.
Okay, so Tom Cruise is walking around and all the advertising is following him and showing him specific intended information and ads specifically for him as it follows him around. Scary and creepy, but kind of cool.
It's scary and somehow cool, but I mean...
Yeah, somehow cool, right?
Yeah.
The problem is people are going to be buying everything they don't think they need because the systems are making them feel like they need it. And they don't understand why they need it, so they're just buying it. And there could be concerns about that. But for now, fear and FOMO off the table. There's a huge opportunity occurring that most people don't understand with this translation, and that is there's a generational wealth movement occurring. There's a generational shift. There is around $21 trillion in the next few years that are going to come online due to other platforms and situations that are crashing out in the marketplace, like Joanne going bankrupt and these other companies going bankrupt because their private equity companies screwed them over. Profitable companies going bankrupt that will no longer supply those goods or services to the market, so they're being forced to come online, right?
Yeah.
And with that wealth transfer, there's this enormous thing occurring, including digital currencies and other things that are being adopted, and AI technologies that are being adopted very fast, where you have a window of opportunity to either be a consumer who is in front of that and using it, and that's what you are, a consumer who is a part of that system, or you're a seller and a provider of shovels to miners who takes advantage of that market situation, gets ahead of it, and sees this huge opportunity. But you have to be smart about the numbers. You have to understand what numbers make sense in a business model like e-commerce, because in our world, it is physical products, right? So long ago, after doing the digital side so long, realizing that I was playing a game of cat and mouse when the offer would disappear or the digital thing would change. Since I didn't have a physical component to my offer, I couldn't control the whole business. So I was still an entrepreneur trying to figure out where to go. I became a business owner when I locked into physical products because now I own the marketing side. I own the economic engine. I control supply and demand elasticity, which is pricing and movement of product. And I control the actual product production and back end. So now I built intrinsic value into the company. I own the products and inventory. I own the business. I own the last mile through customer supply chain, even using places like Amazon to deliver it for me. And now I have a whole business. I have a whole brand. I have something that's worth something in the end. It's a saleable asset. That business and physical brand is growing in value and will eventually be a business I could sell to corporate suitors or private equity groups or even companies that I'm involved in that want to buy these companies. So you build the business with the end in mind. And that's the foundation of a true business building model. And if you know the numbers correctly, you're going to have the profitability you expect. A lot of people don't understand you shouldn't sell products less than $50 on Amazon. We say in our company, friends don't let friends sell products that are $20 on Amazon. The business of profitability is most important. You must have more than $12 in profit per unit on your physical product. Okay. If you don't have that, inflation, time, tariffs, other considerations, even marketing and cost are going to make it non-profitable. Okay. So if you go by the numbers, sell more than $12 in net profit. And that is actually what you keep. Very important. We always talk about net because revenue is sexy. Cash flow is king. And revenue is also vanity. But profit is sanity, right? Profit makes the whole thing good. And that's what we want to really stay focused on in those numbers.
Interesting. You just picked on my mind, because the next question I was going to ask is, how do you know that even my business is going to be, profitable in the long run?
Yeah. It's a great question.
Because the listener is, let's say, is a young person, and they're trying to really navigate this challenge, and now there's AI and everything, but then AI, everybody is now let's say will try to create a software as a service company, or someone will try to leverage AI to do something. But how does someone know that this stone is a long throw and is not just here?
Yeah. Well, I mean, with enough time and energy in the market, you discover certain conditions that you thought were one way when you didn't understand. But once you get knowledgeable, get some experience and some wisdom in there, you start to figure out how it works.
Yeah.
What I discovered a while back was every product we launched in a system like Amazon had a predictable outcome if you followed certain data sets and certain variables when you went into the market, meaning it took all emotions out of the product and put it all on the data. Okay. Meaning that I will sell anything in a box to anyone. I don't care if it's fuzzy bunny slippers. If it's profitable and the brand can become profitable, thereby the business can become profitable, and grandma is super happy about the product, loves it, and wants to tell everybody how awesome it is, because that's how happy she is. If I fall in love with the product, there's a problem. So we say, don't marry your products. Steal somebody else's girlfriend instead. There are so many girlfriends in the market, more than you can do. And here's the cool part is that many of these systems and data intelligence systems now that we're using and have developed in our own what's called green light process within our software and tools tell us exactly what the customer need is that is currently getting accurate data from Amazon's own system, right? Amazon is now giving us exactly the data based on what intended product is in their marketplace. But we discovered a little thing in there called a customer need. And with that customer need, there are specific product locations inside Amazon, as well as the product types that are making all of Amazon's $630 billion. And when we identified that, this is when things get really fun, right? Now I'm not guessing, I'm picking a need. Yeah. And when I pick a need, I'm determining, well, how much need is there in the system exactly? How many people are selling that need? And what does their average units per year look like? And I decide, well, do I want that 10,000 or 20,000 or 60,000 units a year? And then I go, well, yeah, okay, I want to sell more of that product. Now I go through a green light process, green, yellow, and red. If it's green, I can sell it. If it's yellow, I got to be careful. And if it's red, don't sell it. So literally the data then tells me where to go. And then from there, and part of our system, we look in and say, well, where is it located? So now that I have an idea of the need, where in this giant digital filing, AI-driven system does this product actually live inside of this data? And when I discover where it lives, I understand who is also selling it. I understand my competition. I understand their value. I understand the market value. I understand what they're presenting and how they're doing it. I understand how to overtake a position in that marketplace, how to get some market share. Right? Once I discover where exactly it is in that system, I've now become more relevant to the customer need. And the customer need could be something like kitchen spoons. Okay. And they're selling 10,000 kitchen spoons. Well, people need kitchen spoons. And then it goes into, it's like, well, in kitchen spoons, that's specifically in this area called home and kitchen, down in this little area in the note called kitchen spoons. Well, that's pretty relevant, right? So now I know I need to place my kitchen spoon where kitchen spoons are. Now I'm becoming extremely relevant to an engine, right? That's asking, well, who are you? And I'm saying, well, I'm a kitchen spoon. All right. I'm like everybody else. And then I'm more profitable than the other kitchen spoons. This engine is going to prefer me. Why would I want to do that? Well, because if it sells more product to a customer and they make more money off of the referral fees, they would want to push out the product that makes them more money. It's kind of common sense, isn't it?
Right.
So if my product's more profitable and they have an idea that I'm selling more of it, I'm more in demand, I'm more relevant, and I make more profit, the engine's going to favor me.
Right.
At that point, I just have to determine what kind of kitchen spoon is most in demand. Now, I'm not going to guess. It's the wooden one. It's the steel one. It's the big one. It's the small one. It's the purple one. No, I'm not going to guess.
Yep.
I'm not going to go to my kitchen necessarily and look and see. That's one great way to go do an urban hack and say, go into my kitchen drawer and be like, well, where's all the kitchen spoons we bought and which one do we like the best? It's not a bad exercise.
Yeah.
What if I could just tell you what it is in the system? What if I could tell you these are the top 5 products selling 80% of 60,000 units a year of kitchen spoons on Amazon?
Yep.
Would that be cool?
It would be cool. I mean,
it would be cool. Because then what I do, I pick one of the top 5 products and I launch it.
And then you just see the results coming out, because everything is data. Every decision is data driven, and it's not a guessing game.
That's right. No emotions. We don't marry our products. We marry the brand.
Yeah.
This is where people get caught up in a product physical type business if they hear the words Amazon or they get online and they wonder, could I be successful, or this is a scam, and blah, blah, blah. Physical product based businesses are not a scam. Okay. The difference between, say, white label, arbitrage, and all this stuff is typically flipping products for profit. And that is not what I'm talking about. While I have product as a measure of the value of what I should sell, which is important because I got to pay myself, pay the business, pay the people, build, buy the products, market the products.
Yeah.
It is the value of that solution provided to the customer that weighs the most. Meaning they love it, they're going to buy it, they're going to give me a positive review, they want more of it, and therefore my whole economic engine turns like crazy, right?
Yep.
So with that, I want to make sure that I understand what that market wants, and I simply want to give them what they want. If they want the Bindi stainless steel spoon for $29 or $49 or $89, that's the one I'm going to sell. I want to make sure I sell it profitably. Right? Because then I have a product that's in the market, but that product has a life cycle.
Yeah.
They all do. Okay. Products don't live on indefinitely. They live to serve a purpose. They serve the brand, which means I don't marry the product if the product market shifts or changes and I have to move product to product. So we launch a minimum of 5 product tests in the market tests to find out which data is most in demand. And then we simply follow that data. When the data says go, we give it more marketing and more product. And we say, well, how much more can you go in the market for us, in our product, in our brand? So we're focused on the brand, not the product. We know the product is going to serve a purpose. And the second thing we should focus on is a great product that doesn't break in 5 minutes and will exude the outcome of what that person wanted. But really, let's understand what it's doing. It's fulfilling a monetary agreement. They paid for it. We have to deliver a good product, even a great product, preferably. Not a Me Too product, a great product. But first, I just want to do one thing. I want to see if I can sell the dang thing. Yeah. Sales fixes everything. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I figured this out a long time ago, I was sitting on the couch at 3 a.m. in the morning feeding my daughter a bottle, and this infomercial comes on. Okay, and I'm like, oh, I want to get new dad kids. I had 4 daughters, and in 4.5 years, we were pounding out kids like crazy. And the third daughter was up, and I'm giving her another bottle, and we're listening to this infomercial, and immediately I'm thinking, oh, I want to buy one of those. This is cool. It's a seat pet that you put on there, and it's called the Seat Pets, and it's got a head, and it's got the little crown things, and it keeps their head from falling over. It looks super cute. I'm like, I want to get one of those. It's only like $19.99. And I'm like, wait, dummy, could I sell one of those? Like, it just shifted a moment. Like, could I actually sell? Like, I shouldn't just buy it. Could I sell one?
Yeah.
And I took it to my partner and I said, hey, we should do one of these. And he looked at it and he's like, this is awesome. They barely have any Amazon presence. I'm like, I know, they're doing this huge marketing campaign out here and they have like barely any Amazon presence. And we went to look at it and we're like, yeah, we could do this. So we created a version of our own. We innovated. We didn't invent. We innovated a product line called Belt Buddies. Okay. Yeah. Belt Buddies had a slightly different anime face, a little bigger head. We made a couple small improvements. We made the pouch a little bigger. We made the seams a little tighter. We asked for a slightly different kind of filling to make it a little softer because the market was saying these were some of the problems. We just identified those problems and we put a Hail Mary pass of 2,000 units in there. Now, this is one of the first things I did when we first got going a long time ago. And I didn't have a ton of money when we first got going at all. And so I put that 1,000 units of my half on a credit card. Kind of a Hail Mary thing, right? I was like, I believe this is going to work. I saw it in the marketing. We're going to experience. 8 weeks later, we sold through those 2,000 units, right? Organically. So what we learned very quickly was this Amazon channel was a demand capture platform. If we could get in front of a trend, if we could get in front of a customer need, if we could ride on somebody else's market tail ethically, from all this advertising they were doing that's spilling over to Amazon, could we get a product in there and do it? And we said, could we do it again? Could we do it again? We launched variation after variation, and each variation started selling thousands of units. And by that point, by 2015, we had a 7-figure brand around that. And once we hit that 7-figure brand, we were like, the doors kind of like, oh, heavens came down and the light was going. And God was like, oh, and all this crazy cool stuff happened. And we're like, go. And so we just started launching brand. And it was like shooting fish in a barrel. It's changed. It's a lot more complicated than it used to be. There's a lot of mechanisms and levers to pull now that most amateurs are going to miss, and they're going to spend a lot of money making mistakes, especially on products and sides. But we've been done, this whole process has been to get to a data set, and to answer your question, to not guess, but to have 85% confidence in the data, the market, the opportunity, and the need, and then simply test the market by asking it, well, do you like this one? And let the market, which I'm not smart enough to tell what it wants, I'm smart enough to see what it wants, and say, hey, do you like this one or this one? And they're going to go, well, I like that one at 50 units a day. This one, I like it like 5 units a day. Cool. Well, if you like this one, let me give you 5 more variations of this one. And then let's figure out which one you like more. Oh, I like this one at 100 units a day. I like that one at 55 units a day. I like that one at 75 units a day. Okay, cool. All of them are selling, but that 100 unit one, let's go get 5 other variations of that, or order another 2,000 units of that product. And let's take our marketing and follow the data. That's what they want from us. Let's give it more. And it's like a snowball. It's like an avalanche. It's like a wave. It goes really fast. And this is where most people fail. You ready for this? They fail to start at all because their fear of concern, their fear of online, their fear of information and overload, and who do I trust? And the hopium guru is making it all sound like you make 7 figures in 3 minutes, right? It's like a race to the bottom on 7 figures lately. It's quite crazy to watch the gurus go out there and be like, try to outdo each other. Oh yeah, 7 figures in 6 months. Well, I got yours in 5. Okay, cool.
Every advert on YouTube says that.
Yeah, I'm going to do it in 2 months. And then somebody else is like, no, I can do it in 1 month. And it's like, what? I had 7 figures and took 4 years to get to 7 figures. And the realistic nature of a business, that's practical. Not everybody wants to hear that, and that's okay. And not everybody wants to hear the second component of why a business in this model fails, and that is failure to capitalize the opportunity.
Right.
It is a physical-based inventory. You have to buy inventory to make it go, and when it starts going, you have to buy more inventory. It is a cash flow business, but it is a capital intensive business based on the inventory you buy. So there is upside potential for those who have cash and aptitude and willing to learn and execute and play the game. But I don't recommend anybody start a first channel e-commerce company with less than $25,000 minimum to their business to learn, to earn, to figure out how to do the products right, to even launch them correctly and imperfectly learn the process until they get the expertise necessary. And by the way, you don't get to experience without execution. And execution is not a guarantee of experience positively. It could be negative. Right? But the fail forward aspect of that and experience to get to a position where it's working becomes the place where you reach wisdom, which is where everybody, everybody wants to get to wisdom, right? But most people want to skip the execution part. And they want to go straight for the glorified experience and have the wisdom without doing the execution. And the fact is, it takes time, energy, attention, and money now, a team effort to make this actually work. But when you do, and this is a long-winded conversation I'm having by myself, sorry about that. There's a lot of upside.
It's a long process. It's a long process, and I think it needs perseverance. But also, you have highlighted importantly, it needs capital, because
it does.
To test anything new or whatever, as the data tells you, you need to have something to put in. And
Correct.
I think it's a great advice that you have just highlighted. And I'm curious to add to my curiosity and for you to continue talking longer. What's the new normal of doing business like in this digital era? Because
the new normal is
you highlighted that is changing. The same way the metrics before there won't be the metrics 2 years later, and so
it's really I'm going to summarize it more simply than what 18 years of experience is telling me. Watching the market shift. I left IBM in 2007. I fired the man and burned the boats and left to never go back again. I didn't burn bridges, but I burned boats. But a lot has happened since then. We had a real estate crash in the market. We had a COVID situation. We've had some major challenges in supply chain and issues and people and all this, monetary things occurred positively and negatively over the course of this time.
Right.
But one thing, I can tell you is that all markets shift. They always change. New adoption occurs. New market segments come forward. There's always a period of what's called mass adoption that you're always looking for in a particular industry to determine its longevity and its upside potential.
Yeah.
E-commerce and physical products saw that occur in 2020. We saw 10 years of growth in the first 3 months of 2020.
Yeah.
Not only did we see that, we saw supply chains buckle. We saw the challenges of cost and supply chain go. And with that hyper growth came a lot of business knowledge and hands-on, heads-down experience that we would have never understood without that event occurring. And while it had terrible consequences on one side, it had positive consequences on the other side. Terrible was all the stuff you and I already know about. The positive aspect of it for business was the growth. Part of the negative aspect of the business was the growth. So with costs of $4,800 in a 40-foot container in December of 2019, in the February of 2020, around February 2020, one container was 25 grand. So product costs shot through the roof, and a lot of businesses dissolved after that second quarter of 2020, opening up a huge amount of market share that we've moved into over the years. Why? Because we were selling products at higher price points. We had more profitability, more inventory, and more overhead to sustain, while lower sellers or new sellers took a lot longer to get to market or fell out of the market because they couldn't sustain that wave. It was too costly for many people. And most selling, products $30, $50 or less in the marketplace, below 30, all were crashing out in the marketplace. What that created was a gap for places like Temu and Shine and others to fill that gap with low price products direct from China. That's why we saw that explosion occur, right?
Yeah.
What hasn't happened is private label product growth is still up in the double digits every year. Okay. So the private label people above took the opportunity and continued to go. Private label people on the bottom, most of them fell out, and the middle market ended up being a lot of those Temu Shine based crappy products, which now 2-3 years later, most people are realizing that when you order one, you think you're getting a box with a human sized product, and it turns out it's a product for ants. I've ordered some products for Temu, and I'm like, this is gonna, what am I supposed to do with that? What the hell? I thought the thing was like this big, and I got the product and it's like that big. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And even Amazon's thing, tried to get into it. Mostly that's just bombed and quietly been shifted aside in the market. And they didn't want to tell everybody how bad it's bombing. So they kind of just shoved it off to the side. And most people don't even know it's there because it's bombing. And so with private label, it continues to live on. And the reason why you want to build a private label versus wholesale and retail and white label or just flipping products for profit is the long-term intrinsic value of a physical-based inventory model with trademarks and intellectual property you control and can move with the market. We moved with the market when it shifted. Okay. So those are one of the things that have changed everything about the way you do business now in the online world. When you're going to move into the business, there's a slightly different level of opportunity cost, but the upside potential is 10x greater. Right. It just is, because once you reach above that mark and you reach into these products that are 50 to 500 in retail price point, the average order value on Amazon is $69. Okay. So what does that tell you? If you're selling a $39 product, you're not hitting the majority of Amazon's sales, which is closer to $60 to $70. So many of the people who might be listening to this and thinking about being an aspiring entrepreneur in the marketing or whatever, may be looking at products like $20 because that's what they want to source as cost of goods, but that's not where the market is. The lower volume market is in the other platforms and in the Temus and Shines and nonsense. The private label branding is in the 50 plus range. And so that has changed dramatically in the last 3 years. And we moved 5 years ago, due to all those changes, we elevated all of our brand products, right? In all of our sourcing and product types now have to meet a minimum criteria of profitability and retail price point to support the model of the referral fees and everything else. With that has become, systems like TikTok, where they have done their $1 million hour a few years after launching their products. They had their $1 million live shopping hour last July 2024. It took QVC like 20 years to do that. And I knew the lady who ran the first $1 million hour on QVC. Okay. The internet did that in 1 hour on July 2024 after only a few years of having TikTok live online. It's insane the amount of traffic and exposure you can get now. And about 3 months later, somebody else did a 3-hour live stream and generated $5 million in sales. If I'm not mistaken, I think that was the one that Kevin Hart and a couple other people were on, and it just blew up. And it was like, wow, here's a whole nother level of crap. It's like the race to get to the 3-minute mile is happening in the online world. It was like, well, 7 minutes, no one can run a 7-minute mile. And it's like, well, then somebody run a 6-minute 50 mile. And it's like, well, no one can beat that. And it's like, well, there's a 5-minute mile. And like, no one's going to do that. And they're like, there's a 4-minute mile. And what did I see that do the other day? Like 3.58 mile per mile over 26 miles. I'm like, it's inhuman. No one else can get to two. No one else can get to two something. It's impossible. There has to be a point where it stops, right?
Right.
We're not there in the e-com world because there's this infinite upside potential of virtual real estate that's unlimited upside potential. In other words, how big can you get hasn't even found the bottom half of the bottom of the ceiling yet.
It's not yet.
Not even yet, no. And which means the systems and infrastructure in places are even going larger and larger. And as these automation systems kick in more, which we use Amazon's FBA or fulfilled by Amazon infrastructure, because they put $20 billion in delivering that product all the way down to the customer when they order it. And we don't need to develop that. What we can do is leverage that as a tool, a lever, right? So we focus on the product, we focus on the asset, we focus on the marketing of that data to the engine, and we let the engine market and deliver that product to the customer. And if you understand that very critical thing, you will understand this very important point. When you learn how to do that, you can sell anything to anyone in a box. When you unlock that knowledge of that AI, that is where this gets to be insanely fun. And the question about what the heck do I sell goes out the window, because now you realize you have a bigger problem. So many products, you can't do them all in a lifetime.
Correct. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Neil, for the awesome insights. It has been great listening to you talking about, the business and the models and understanding how the e-commerce world works. Because when I was starting to look at it, I think I began to look on Shopify when it was just launching and all that. And that's when I was understanding. But listening to you gave me more insights as to how to take this e-commerce game, especially with having my own brand and all that. And I hope it has been valuable to the listener. Thank you very much, Neil. And I think you can share with the audience how can they connect not only with you but with Voltage GM and
Sure.
Because Amazon FBA probably you can help someone.
In Shopify and TikTok and the other platforms that create a holistic, let's remember we're in an e-commerce business model, and Amazon is just a sales channel. You should always have separate sales channels. While I prefer to start people on FBA because it's where a lot of sales are made and the entire intent is to buy, it fixes the first question. Sales fixes everything, right?
Right.
The first statement everybody needs to remember: sales fixes everything. You can fix a product that's not great and make it great, but if you can't sell it, that doesn't matter, right? So we got to work on the first problem, and that is getting sales, and Amazon is a great place to start to find those sales. If you want to learn more about that or even understand what we call the platinum principle, which is building these businesses with the end because they're worth more in the end at any time during the business building phase, then you're going to want to check out the book, Almost Automated Income with FBA. It's the strategy that aligns with everything I just spoke about today, which is building these businesses to an exit. And is not a tactical guide, it is a strategic guide to get you to understand the business model, the fundamentals of the business, the capital requirements, the marketing and other things around it. And the book really aligns that in 15 chapters. The chapters were all from my High Voltage Business Builders podcast. And then I interviewed these individuals and put them into the book. And the resources, case studies, and materials all support the model that Voltage follows in our greenlight process. And that is also on our website at voltagedm.com. Where you can check out the book. There's a digital version and a paperback version. Many people love the tactile paperback version. So there's an option of that too. And that gives you the strategy and understanding to go deeper into the things I'm speaking about now. We have virtual conferences that we do where we go into depth on each of these topics. And we do have a 12-month mentorship. It is an invite-only membership, and everybody interviews with me to find out if they have the right aptitude and profile to become a CEO operator of an e-commerce company, as we don't do courses and programs and all that nonsense. We have the software, people, and process and technology. We do a one-on-one 12-month run to reach a specific goal of getting to 100K in net profits in your business, or I lose 10 grand in the process. So I had you bet on the right people who were chosen. I put 10,000 in skin in the game. For that, there's of course a consulting fee to work with us, but I also put some money online as well because I believe in the process and I know that it works. And if anybody is an aspiring entrepreneur who wants to learn about e-com, go check out that information. And if you feel led, have a conversation with me. We'll see if you're a good fit for where we're going, and maybe your goals and expectations align with that, possibly. I don't know. But here's one thing to keep in mind for everybody who's listening today. Your opportunity begins at the end of your excuses. So no matter what you do and what business you try, if you excuse every possible, there's nothing good that can happen, I'm listening to all the myths, no one makes any money, I can't do this, then you're going to fail to ever start. And that's the biggest failure in any business.
Awesome. To the listener who has stayed to the end, 2 things from Neil. 1, too blessed to be stressed. And 2, opportunity starts when
Opportunity begins at the end of your excuses.
When you finish making those lame excuses, that's when an opportunity shows up. And yeah, guys, I want you to add some voltage to your life. And yeah, let's check out at voltagedm.com. Thank you, Neil, for coming to the podcast today. It was awesome to really listen to you.
Thank you, sir. I was blessed to be here. Thank you for being a wonderful host.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye, everyone, the one listening. And yep, until next time.